Billionaire shows up unannounced, catches new wife pouring dirty water on his mother. Once upon a time it was a bright, sunny morning when the sound of a slow knock echoed at the tall silver gate of the mansion. Knock, knock. The guards looked at each other confused. Nobody ever came to this house without calling first. The house belonged to Ethan Brooks, the young billionaire everyone in town respected and feared. But today Ethan wasn't home. Standing outside the gate was an old woman. Her hair was gray, her dress torn, and her hands shook as she held a small paper bag. "Please," she said softly, "I just want to see my son, Ethan." The guards burst out laughing. "Your son? Ma'am, do you even know where you are? This is Mr. Brooks' home." "You think a billionaire's mom would look like that?" one of them sneered. The woman didn't reply. She just held her bag tighter, her eyes filled with quiet hope. "He will know me," she whispered. "Please tell him his mother is here." From the balcony, Melissa, Ethan's new wife, heard the noise. She wore a silk robe and diamond earrings that sparkled under the sun. Annoyed, she stepped outside and called out sharply, "What's all this noise about?" One guard pointed toward the gate. "This old woman says she's your husband's mother, ma'am." Melissa's eyes widened, then turned cold. "What nonsense," she snapped. "His mother lives in the city. I send her money every month." The old woman shook her head. "You send it to yourself," she said gently. "My name is Mary Brooks. I raised Ethan with these hands. Please just let me see him." Melissa frowned. "You liar! How dare you stand in front of this gate?" She turned to the guards and hissed, "Get rid of her before she scares the neighbors." Then she stormed back inside, but the old woman didn't move. She stayed, silent and still, her eyes on the mansion she once helped build when her son was just a boy. She whispered to herself, "Ethan, my son. Where are you?" The wind blew softly, but in the air hung something heavy, something about to break. The morning sun had risen higher, but the air around the mansion felt cold. The old woman, Mary, still stood quietly at the gate. Her feet were dusty, her hands trembling. Every few minutes she whispered her son's name like a prayer. "Ethan. Ethan, it's Mama." Inside, Melissa paced back and forth in anger. "How dare that woman stand at my gate?" she shouted. "She's trying to embarrass me." One of the housemaids tried to speak. "Ma'am, maybe she's really telling the truth." But before she could finish, Melissa snapped, "Shut up! I'll handle this myself." She grabbed a bucket sitting near the kitchen door. It was full of dirty water from the morning cleaning, gray and smelly. Without a second thought, she stormed outside. The guards quickly opened the gate for her, not knowing what she planned to do. When Mary saw her coming, she smiled weakly. "My daughter," she said softly, "please, just tell Ethan his mother is here. I walked all the way from—" Splash! Melissa threw the dirty water straight at her. The old woman gasped as the cold, filthy water hit her face and soaked her clothes.
"Get away from here!"
Melissa shouted, her eyes burning with pride. "You think you can trick your way into this house? Go find another fool to call your son." The guards laughed nervously, unsure if they should stop her or join her. Mary stood still, shaking, her tears mixing with the dirty water dripping down her cheeks. She didn't say a word. Instead, she reached slowly into her wet dress and pulled out a small, folded photo. Her fingers trembled as she held it close to her heart. "He was just a boy when I took this," she whispered almost to herself. "And now he's rich, but he forgot me." As she turned to leave, the sound of tires screeched on the driveway. Everyone froze. A black car rolled through the open gate, shining under the sunlight. The driver rushed out to open the door, and out stepped Ethan Brooks himself. His eyes caught the scene, the bucket, the wet ground, and the trembling old woman. For a long second, no one moved. Then Ethan's face hardened. "What is going on here?" he said, his voice low and sharp like a knife. The air went completely still. Even the birds stopped singing. Ethan's dark eyes moved from his soaked mother to his wife still holding the empty bucket. His heart began to pound in his chest. "Mom," he whispered, his voice breaking a little. Mary's lips trembled. She didn't speak. She just nodded, her eyes full of tears. Ethan dropped his briefcase on the ground and ran to her. "Mom, what happened? Who did this to you?" Before she could answer, Melissa stepped forward quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Ethan, thank God you're here," she said in a sweet voice. "This woman came to the gate pretending to be your mother. I was only trying to protect the house." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "Pretending?" His voice rose slightly. "Melissa, she's my mother. Melissa blinked. What? No, that's impossible. Your mother lives in the city. I send her money every month. Ethan turned to look at his mother, then back at his wife. And where do you send it? He asked quietly. Melissa's lips parted, but no sound came out. She looked around for help, but the guards stood frozen, watching. The housemaids had come outside too, peeking from behind the doors. Ethan's face hardened. You didn't even ask who she was before throwing water on her, did you? Melissa's fake smile vanished. I didn't know. She looked like a beggar. Ethan's voice dropped low, almost shaking. That's because she worked her whole life to raise me, to feed me, to give me everything I have. Mary finally spoke, her voice weak but filled with love. It's all right, Ethan. I didn't want trouble. I just wanted to see you, my son. Ethan turned to her gently. You'll never stand outside my gate again, Mom. Never. He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. The scene was silent, heavy, and filled with shame. Melissa's eyes darted everywhere, searching for a way out. But Ethan didn't even look at her. He turned to the guards and said in a voice cold as stone, We'll talk inside. Everyone now. The mansion door opened. But what was about to be revealed inside would change everything. Inside the mansion, silence filled the air like a heavy cloud. Ethan stood by the marble floor, his mother sitting quietly on the couch, still dripping from the water. Melissa stood a few feet away, twisting her fingers, her face pale. Ethan looked at her slowly. Now, he said in a calm but dangerous voice, Tell me again, who did you say this woman is? Melissa swallowed hard. I already told you, Ethan. She came here pretending to be your mother. I only wanted to protect our home from strangers. Ethan didn't blink. And you poured dirty water on her to protect it? His tone was sharp now, cutting through the air. Melissa tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Ethan, please. You weren't here. She looked poor. She scared the guards. Before she could finish, Mary reached into her bag again. Her old wet hands pulled out a small folded picture, the same one she'd tried to show outside. Her voice was soft but steady. You don't have to fight, Ethan. Just look at this. Ethan took the photo gently. It was old and faded, but he knew it instantly. It showed a little boy sitting on a woman's lap, his arms around her neck, both smiling. He remembered that day, the tiny wooden house, the smell of soup cooking, his mother humming as she held him close. His throat tightened. This picture was on my 10th birthday, he said quietly. Melissa's face turned pale. Wait, that doesn't prove... Ethan turned his head sharply. Enough. His voice thundered across the room. All these months I trusted you. I believed you were kind. I told you my biggest dream was to give my mother the life she deserved. And you, his voice broke slightly, you threw dirty water on her. Tears spilled from Mary's eyes. My son, don't be angry. God will judge the heart. I just wanted to see your face again. Ethan knelt down beside her, holding her hands tightly. You will never be treated like this again, Mom. Not while I'm alive. Melissa dropped to her knees, crying. Ethan, please forgive me. I didn't know. Ethan stood up, his eyes cold. You didn't want to know. Because pride blinded you. Then he turned to security standing by the door. Get her out of this house. Everyone gasped. Melissa screamed, Ethan, please. But he didn't look back. His hand stayed on his mother's shoulder, and in his eyes was only one truth. Family comes before pride. The mansion was quiet now. The sound of Melissa's cries faded as the guards led her out. Through the tall silver gate. The same gate where she had once thrown water at the old woman. The same gate where everything changed. Inside, Ethan knelt beside his mother. The floor was shiny, but his heart felt heavy. Mom, he said softly, his voice shaking. I can't believe what just happened. I'm sorry I wasn't here. Mary touched his face gently. Don't cry, my son. I didn't come to make you sad. I came because I missed you. I wanted to see if your heart was still the same as when you were a little boy. Ethan took her hands and looked into her eyes. It is, Mom. I forgot where I came from, but I'll never forget again. He called for warm water and a towel. Then, right there on the cold marble floor, he slowly began to wash his mother's feet with his own hands. The workers who stood watching started to cry. Some whispered to each other, Look at the billionaire. Washing his mother's feet, Ethan smiled through his tears. She cleaned mine when I had nothing. Now it's my turn. Mary's lips trembled as she whispered, I don't need your money, Ethan. I only need your love. He nodded, his voice thick with emotion. You'll have it forever, Mom. He helped her stand and wrapped her in a warm blanket. From now on, he said, You'll live here. This is your home." Outside, the sky was turning golden. The same sun that had watched a cruel act that morning now shone softly through the windows, lighting the room like a blessing. Mary looked at her son with proud eyes. "I prayed every night that God would bring you back to me," she said. "Now I see my prayer answered." Ethan hugged her tight. "And I see my lesson learned," he whispered. "No matter how high you climb, never forget the hands that lifted you." As they stood together, the wind blew gently through the open door, carrying away the last sound of Melissa's cries. And there, in that quiet moment, love, real, humble, and pure, filled the billionaire's home again.